Hi everyone, it's Kino here. I'm in Orlando. And this is day 19 of the Yoga Challenge. I am so proud of you for taking this journey this far, and I just really want to thank you so much for continuing to practice with me every day on this challenge. Amazing. I know how hard it is to stick with any new habit, and I also know how hard yoga is. Yoga is actually not that easy. It's hard to lift and bend and twist and get on the mat every day to keep your motivation. And you also get really sore sometimes when you practice yoga. So it really, really means a lot to me that you're sticking with the practice. Now, the payoff of the whole journey of yoga is a life that is filled with more peace, more kindness, more love, more joy. That's what keeps us coming back to the mat. Today's philosophical theme of the day is viveka in Sanskrit, or wisdom. And specifically, when we talk about wisdom in the yoga practice, it is the ability to decipher what is truth. So to be able to delineate and clearly distinguish between what is untrue versus what is true. And I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like these days between, alternative facts and different people and reporters basically saying two totally different things from the exact same experience, it feels like there's kind of almost an all-out war on truth, and that everything feels really, really relative, polarized, and individual, and sort of like bifurcated in the world today. And it becomes increasingly more important for every individual to kind of have their own wisdom filter, to really have a space where every person can really say, you know what? I'm able to go inside myself to a place where I can see clearly, and I'm able to decipher what is the untrue from what is true. I'm able to see, what are the facts in the situation, and clearly and ably assess that. Of course, our view is never perfect. I think everybody can probably agree that we all only ever have a partial picture. The only being whose presence really is absolutely and complete in vast and all knowledge that exists is God. Otherwise, we're all just human beings from our own individual perspective. But the more we can expand our consciousness, the more that our ability to decipher the truth can really, really expand, so that we can actually be able to more clearly tell what is true from what is untrue. For example, we can start this in our own yoga practice. There are so many alignment cues and pointers that are given for increased health in the body. For example, you may often hear a direction given by a yoga teacher to send your pelvis forward or to rotate your hip joint. And you can, in your mind, like really, really think like, I'm doing it, I'm doing it, I'm doing it, I'm definitely doing it. But then if your teacher gives you a physical adjustment, then you really feel, oh, my pelvis, this is what it means to send my pelvis forward. Oh, this is what it means to externally rotate my hip joint. Then you see, you really realize, oh, what I thought was true was actually not true. Therefore, I need to develop better sense perception. I need to be able to go more deeper in my own estimation and evaluation capability, both within the realm of my body and also in the realm of the external world. So perhaps the first step in true wisdom in the yoga path is the humility to really recognize I don't have all the answers. I don't know the complete story of every circumstance, but I want to get better at being able to decipher what is the untrue from the true. In the small world perspective, I think this is really, really helpful, because if you get too stuck and absolute, if you get too stuck and absolute in your ways, then, you think your perception of reality is absolute truth, whereas it's probably only relatively true or true for you as an individual, but not like true in the grand universal sense of truth. So when we think about that, it really brings, again, a sense of humility, and it's the humble heart that is a teachable spirit and is really the essence of what it means to be a student on the journey of yoga. So when we're talking about wisdom, it begins with the recognition that we need to learn, that we need help in kind of elevating our perspective, help in seeing the truth from someone else's perspective. We kind of really, really want our minds to be expanded into kind of a deep state of wisdom. Now, let's talk about what viveka is traditionally used for. Yes, in the beginning, you want to be able to figure out what is my hip joint doing and that sort of thing. But in the bigger picture perspective, what you can think about is that My tripod is falling over. I was able to decipher that right now. So in the bigger picture perspective, what you can think about in relation to viveka is you start off with to be able to decipher small truth and small untruth, right? So to be able to tell truth from lie, and then you can be able to figure out what is temporary and what is eternal. So most of the time we think that what is temporary is actually eternal. So we think our thoughts, our emotions, and our value judgments about reality are eternal. We think whatever pain or suffering we experience, whatever pleasure we experience is going to be eternal. But in reality, all of that is temporary. Everything is temporary. Even this beautiful park that I'm sitting in won't last forever. These trees, just like me, have a life. We're born and one day we'll die. And although we don't like to think about that, everything in this world comes and goes. It arrives and then it passes away. So the wisdom that is cultivated in the yoga practice is often called not only viveka, but viveka khyati, which is discriminative discernment. The ability to see what is true and from what is untrue, to be able to really feel what is temporary and what is eternal, what is, what is manifest and what is unmanifest, what is born and what is unborn, what is phenomenal and what is noumenal. And that means like in the phenomenal, not in the sense of like, wow, that was phenomenal, but as in phenomena, which arise and pass. And the numinous is in the singular and the universal and eternal. So we're very much trying to be able to identify this elusive substance, which is called Purusha in Sanskrit, the spirit, so that when you have a life-changing experience of the spirit, you can recognize it and you don't get confused. You're not like, oh, well, I guess this is just another average, ordinary, everyday experience. You can really, really appreciate it. You can stop and be able to decipher this moment is very, very special. Let me pause and reflect on it and open up the heart to really embrace that. Wisdom comes from experience. And this is why yoga is a personal practice, something that you commit yourself to over and over again, not something that you just snap your fingers and you're good at it. Don't expect to be good at yoga, not the internal work, not the poses, not the meditation, not the breathing. Expect to practice at it for many years. And in the places of most difficulty for you, well, those places hold the most potential for you to develop true viveka, because you'll be asked to be, you'll be challenged and you'll be, really asked to go deeply into your own inner journey, to be able to decipher what is true from what is untrue. It's a great freedom to be able to separate perception from reality, the story you tell around reality, and the pure feeling of reality. The Viveka Khyati is often described as like a light bulb that you shine out into the world, and then that light helps you easily reveal what is true in the light. And what is shrouded in darkness is always kind of confusing, maybe shadowy, maybe even a little bit scary. But with the power of a committed yoga practice, you'll be able to turn that light on within yourself and develop true wisdom, Viveka Khyati, the discriminative discernment, so that you'll never fall for someone else's lies or illusions. And this is, false truth is called Bhranti Darshana. And there are a lot of peddlers of false truth and a lot of snake oil salespeople around the world who try to put up a whole bunch of smoke and mirrors to cover up deep untruths. So I think that with the cultivation of Viveka Khyati, if every individual person is able to really, really decipher what is true from what is untrue, what is, a relative story you tell about reality and what are the actual facts about reality, I think our world would be a dramatically more peaceful place. We'd be less susceptible to manipulation. We'd be less susceptible to gaslighting. If you don't know what gaslighting is, it's when someone engages in an act of emotional manipulation that makes you doubt your sanity. And unfortunately, I've had this experience where in the past where I've been with someone, not romantically, but I've been engaged with, friends and even business colleagues that engaged in some serious gaslighting. So we would have the exact same experience, and then I would restate, what happened. For example, in one particular instance, my business colleague and I were reviewing a meeting, and I said to, my business colleague, so let's just review. And I thought I was going over the facts as I had taken notes. And then, the person who was very much engaging in an act of emotional manipulation and gaslighting said, no, that's totally not what happened. You don't remember correctly, and just fabricated this whole story. It made me doubt my sanity. I was like, you've got to be kidding. So I thought for a moment, and then this person also engaged in so many other types of manipulation and made up a whole other story and invoked kind of like big, broad spiritual principles to back up their false story. And it was like, oh, it took so much of my time in practice and meditation to really hold on to the truth and be like, you know what? This person is not being truthful. And you hate to say that about your friend or someone you trust or a business colleague or something like that. But through your yoga practice, you can get so solid in your vivekakati that you can say, you know what? I'm sorry, but that was not what happened. And you can develop more self-confidence. You can then sort of really stand up for yourself and say, I need to exit the situation. And that's actually what I did in this particular circumstance. And it wasn't easy and it wasn't fun. But whenever you're faced with any individual that engages in, emotional manipulation, that is engaging in the gaslighting tactic or speaking lies and putting up smoke and mirrors to continue to sell an illusion to you, you need to develop your power of discriminative discernment so that you can always decipher what is true from what is untrue and be able to live a life more filled with peace and more in alignment with all beings who are truthful and who are aligned in the truth. Okay, so we're going to end with a short meditation today. So if you'll close your eyes, bring your attention to your breath, and start off practicing discrimination of the breath. What do you feel as the breath moves in and out of the body? Is it warm? Is it cool? Is it deep? Is it shallow? As your breath unfolds, simply be aware, this is my breath, and practice the discriminative power of discernment that needs no story to tell around the breath, that allows the breath to simply be what it is. Here's the breath in its bare, naked truth. Cultivate that power of discrimination, and then you'll be able to apply it to every moment in your life. Allow yourself a deeper breath, and then open the eyes. Remember, if you want to practice with me, you can sign up on omstars.com, and we have a full-length practice that revolves around the concept of viveka and builds up to today's challenge pose. Omstars.com, sign up for the challenge. You get a free month of practice on Omstars, which give you access to the all-new 31 classes with me for the Yoga Is Challenge and our over 2,000 class library of yoga, lifestyle classes, and yoga classes, and all kinds of fun things. If you are an Omstars member, leave me a comment on this video. I want to see you. I love you. You're my family. And thanks everyone for tuning in and watching these videos. And I really, really appreciate you. I love you. And I really, really hope that you are inspired to practice not only the physical work, but also to practice opening your minds to the inner spiritual journey of yoga. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. Namaste.